Shut up. The sound of her voice cut through the rain like a lightning strike. The slap came next, sharp, sudden, and echoing. People froze. Cameras lifted. The world seemed to pause around that single moment. And that's where our story begins. But by the time you reach the end, you'll realize that one slap changed 2 lives forever. So before we dive in, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay till the end, because this is not just a story, it's a journey of pain, pride, and the power of kindness. It all started in a small coffee shop on the corner of a quiet street in Karachi. The rain was relentless that evening, tapping against the windows like tiny knocks of fate. A young single father named Ahsan, 32, sat at a corner table. His shirt sleeves were rolled up, his eyes tired but kind. He was a construction worker, strong hands, rough palms, but a soft heart. Across from him sat his 8-year-old daughter, Mira, with 2 braids and a chipped cup of hot chocolate. "Abu, do you think Mama can see us from heaven?" she asked, her little voice breaking the rhythm of the rain. Ahsan smiled faintly. "Of course, Mary John. She's probably telling the angels to keep an eye on us." He reached over and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. They had very little, just each other, but to them, that was enough. Ahsan worked hard all day and drove a small rickshaw at night. Life was cruel, but he never complained. That evening, as he waited for the rain to stop, a woman rushed into the café, Elena Malik, 28, elegant but soaked from head to toe. Her long hair clung to her face, her eyes sharp yet tired. She wore no makeup, just a plain white kurta and jeans. No one could have guessed that she was one of the richest women in the country, the CEO of Malik Holdings, a multi-billion-dollar empire. She quietly ordered a tea and sat down near Ahsan's table. Her phone rang, she answered sharply. "I said no mergers. I don't care if the board threatens to quit." Her voice drew attention, but she didn't care. She was fighting battles no one in that cafe could imagine. Mira, curious, watched her with innocent eyes. "Abu, she looks sad," she whispered. Ahsan smiled. Sometimes even people who have everything feel empty. Beta. Moments later, a group of men entered the cafe, loud, arrogant, dressed in fancy suits. One of them, Raza, recognized Elena. "Arai. Miss Malik. The Iron Lady herself," he mocked. "Didn't expect to see you here among the poor." The others laughed cruelly. Elena's jaw tightened. She ignored them, but Raza stepped closer, blocking her way. "How about you share that table with us, Don't act too high and mighty." Ahsan saw the discomfort on her face. He stood up slowly, placing Myra's hand on the table. "Excuse me, sir," he said politely. The lady said no. "Please leave her alone." Raza turned and sneered. "And who are you? Some chaiwala trying to be a hero?" Ahsan simply replied, "A father. Teaching his daughter what respect looks like." The cafe went silent. But before anyone could react, Raza's hand shot out, trying to grab Elena's wrist. Ahsan stepped in between them, taking the hit instead, a hard slap that echoed across the room. Elena's eyes widened. The man she didn't even know had just taken a slap meant for her. Raza smirked, but before he could speak, Elena's voice cracked the air. "Shut up." She stepped forward, her aura changing, no longer the quiet woman but the powerful CEO she really was. "How dare you lay a hand on him," she shouted. Her tone made even Raza's friends back off. "Do you know who I am?" Her phone was still recording from the table, the entire confrontation caught on video. Within hours, it went viral. "Single dad protects woman from harassment." Millions watched, shared, and praised Ahsan's bravery, but for Ahsan, it wasn't about fame. He went home that night with Mira, his cheek red, his wallet empty, but his conscience clean. He had done the right thing. 2 days later, a black car stopped in front of his small rented house. Elena stepped out, wearing a pastel blue shower kameez this time, her hair tied neatly. She carried flowers and a gentle smile. "Ahsan," she said softly, "I came to thank you." He hesitated. "You don't owe me anything. Anyone would have done the same." "No," she said firmly. "Not everyone would have. Most would have looked away." She saw the cracked walls, the broken fan, the small kitchen behind him. Mira peeked from behind the curtain, smiling shyly. Something inside Elena shifted. For the first time in years, she felt warmth instead of loneliness. Ahsan refused her offer of money. "Madam, please don't misunderstand. I didn't do it for a reward." Elena respected that. "Then allow me to do something else," she said. Over the next few weeks, she visited often, bringing groceries, books for Mira, and sometimes just conversation. She found peace in that humble home, the laughter, the simplicity. Ahsan treated her not as a billionaire, but as a person. One evening, Elena confessed, "I lost my father when I was little. Since then, I built walls around my heart. But you and Mira reminded me of what family feels like." Ahsan looked at her gently. "And maybe you reminded us that angels don't always have wings." Months passed. The bond deepened. Elena secretly sponsored Myra's education in one of the best schools, under an anonymous scholarship. When Ahsan found out later, he was furious at first, feeling his pride wounded. But when he saw Myra's happiness, he realized it wasn't charity, it was love. And then came the turning point. One night, a fire broke out at the construction site where Ahsan worked. He risked his life to save his co-workers. He was injured, hospitalized, unconscious for days. Elena stayed by his side the entire time, refusing to leave. When he finally opened his eyes, she whispered, "You protected me once, Ahsan. Let me protect you now." The video of Elena visiting him went viral again, this time titled, "Billionaire CEO stands by a single dad who once saved her." The world cheered. But for them, it was no longer about fame. It was about faith, kindness, and second chances. A year later, Ahsan opened his own small construction company, funded by Elena but built by his own hard work. She didn't give him wealth, she gave him opportunity. And in return, he gave her what money couldn't buy, a family. On Myra's 9th birthday, Elena brought a small cake. As they sang together, Mira looked at her and said, "Auntie Elena, will you stay with us forever?" Elena's eyes filled with tears. She looked at Ahsan, he smiled, and simply said, "Only if she wants to." She nodded silently. And that night, under the same stars that once watched them in pain, they began a new chapter, not of riches or pity, but of respect, healing, and love. So if you've ever been judged for being kind, or felt invisible for doing the right thing, remember Ahsan's story. A single act of courage can change everything. And before you scroll away, hit that like button, share this story, and subscribe for more heart-touching stories that remind us, sometimes, the poorest man has the richest heart, and the richest woman just needs someone to remind her how to feel again.